joining us for the very first webinar in the series TLDR that is named after Too Long Didn't Read. Thanks for taking time to join us. My name is Akash. I'll be hosting this webinar for you, and I will also be presenting the solutions on designing a NAS. And once my section is over, I will hand it over to my friend Alex from QNAP in Taiwan, who will be taking you through the product offerings of QNAP, which is the NAS storage and their own operating system. And then Rajesh from Seagate Technologies in UAE will take you through the Seagate Ironwolf NAS drives and the Exos Enterprise drives, which are purpose-built drives for the network as a storage. So just relax, sit back, and keep on asking the questions whenever you want to. You will see an open questions area at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so let's start. Nowadays it's very difficult to start any presentation without the reference to COVID, right? The way it has affected us. So I decided to open this with a slide from COVID and the changes that it's causing in all the businesses. Of course, a good thing that COVID has done is that a lot of companies have adopted the digital transformation, but a lot of businesses are slowing down at the same time. Good news is that not all the businesses are slowing down though. So as you can see from this slide, network attached storage is a business that's actually on a solid growth path. For the next 5 years, we only see the growth. And this growth is definitely fueled by all the increasing unstructured data that's being generated from the mobile phones and from the media and so on and so forth. The point here is that if you are a system integrator, then you need to really see how you can incorporate these kind of solutions into your solution so you can meet your client's business needs. If you are an end user, then you need to see how you can make use of these storage solutions to meet your business demands. Now, unarguably, definitely, data is growing at a very fast pace. But what is it that makes NAS so popular? You have got other competing technologies also. You have got other on-premise storage devices like direct attached storage, SAN devices, and tape libraries. Then what is it that makes a NAS so popular? The number one reason that a NAS is preferable to small and medium businesses and some enterprises as well over the direct attached storage or SAN devices or libraries is that they are extremely versatile. A NAS is a 24/7 on server that runs on a Linux kernel. And the kernel itself will give you some basic functionality that you will need to store your data, share your data, and protect your data, like the RAIDs, the snapshots, on-site replication, and integration to a public cloud. That covers almost everything that you would want in an enterprise solution. But in case you want to add an app, they will also have an app store, so you will be able to add the applications. Many NAS vendors will also let you install Docker containers or LXC containers on top of their NAS storage devices. So your NAS turns into a small server that's also running a container application. If you have a specific window application, they will also let you run a hypervisor right on the NAS. Not just storing the hypervisor on the NAS, but actually running the hypervisor on NAS using the NAS's own CPU is also possible today. And of course, in the end, it also works as a unified storage where you can have a single NAS device on which you make a file server. You also make a small hypervisor where your virtual machines are stored and run, and you also have your surveillance data. So this kind of a versatility is extremely difficult to get in any other storage. If you look at, for example, the direct data storage, which is all sorts of your USB hard drives and your Thunderbolt hard drives, they're extremely easy to use, of course, but they don't offer you any resilience. If I have a direct data storage, if I have an expansion drive, for example, it's easy for me to use. But in case it fails, it fails. Whereas in a NAS, you have the rate functionality. If you look at the fiber channel SAN devices as a competition, then fiber channel though they offer you the best performance, they are extremely complex to manage. And you, of course, need to have a specific infrastructure to manage them. You need a fiber channel switch, you need the fiber channel cards, and things like those. And tape libraries are the lowest cost today, but then they are never online. You would have to remove your tape, store it elsewhere, and of course, they don't offer you any sharing either. So this is what makes a NAS extremely competitive solution for an on-premise storage. Now, before we look at how you will be designing a NAS solution, I would be taking you through some of the hardware basics of a NAS. The very first basic that many people ask is, what would be the maximum capacity for a RAID? The maximum capacity that you can have in any of the NAS is defined by two things. One is the number of bays, which is how many hard drives can be accommodated. And the second is the size of the hard drive. For example, if you look at the rack mount unit here, it has got 12 slots, 12 bays. It can accommodate 12 hard drives. If I take each hard drive as the biggest hard drive available today, which is 18 terabytes, then the raw capacity on this chassis would be 216 terabytes. So in a 3U server rack space, you are able to get a 216 terabyte of raw storage. And in case you want to expand it, you can always expand it through the expansion units. So this is the very first thing when you look at a NAS and the hardware, the number of bays and the size of the hard drive that you're going to use to arrive at the maximum raw capacity. You can, of course, fill up some of the bays now, and rest of the base can be filled up later. So today, if you see that you have a storage requirement of about 100 terabyte, that might grow up to be 200 terabyte in future, it still makes sense to buy a 12 bay unit, fill up 8 bays, and keep the 4 bays for future expansion. The second thing to consider when you're designing a solution is the network connection. We are all aware of the RJ45 base T connections that you see here. They are the easiest ones. We are all aware of them. You don't need any specific infrastructure to run them. They simply work with your network switches. They work great for 1G. But if you need more than 1G, then you would have to look at a 10G connection, or maybe a 25G connection, or a 40G connection. Those connections are very popular with SFP plus. In the image you can see here, I have marked how an SFP plus connection looks like. Whether it's a 10G SFP plus or 25G SFP plus or 40G SFP plus, they all look the same. For an SFP plus connection, you would have to have a few additional things to make use of. This is how an SFP plus port looks on a switch. First of all, you're going to have to need a switch that supports an SFP plus port, of course, and you're going to have to need a network attached storage device that has got an SFP plus port. And then to connect these two, you have two options. You can either use a direct attached cable, which is called a DAC cable that I've shown here on the far left. This cable is almost the patch panel version of your first time we are hearing 2.5G, somebody has mentioned, yes. How 2.5G gets connected to switch? All right, Mr. Srinivasan, I'll be answering this now. 2.5G also gets connected to the switch either through SFP or through RJ45. Basically, what happens is a 10G connection between 1G and 10G connection, you have got 2.5G as well, and you have got the 5G as well. And later on during the presentation from Alex, he's going to explain to you why there are so many devices that are coming with 2.5G and 5G now, and he will be covering that in detail. But with 2.5G also, it's the RJ45 connection. And you are going to have to need a switch that supports 2.5G on the other side. So it's just like 1G, it's the same RJ45 connection, but it supports 2.5G. So a lot of consumer end devices are coming with 2.5G connections now. Okay, Mr. Aloysius asks, can we configure link aggregation on the QNAP since it has 4 ports? Yes, sir. You can configure the link aggregation on QNAP also, and you can also configure them as a failover. So these 4 ports, you can probably aggregate 2 ports together, and 2 ports you can keep for the failover. So teaming up works, and you have a very nice GUI interface in QNAP where you are able to decide which kind of a teaming up you want to do, because there are different algorithms. So you can team up, you can aggregate definitely. Okay, so back to the SFP Plus. The ways to connect to SFP Plus is either with a direct attached cable, which looks just like an RJ45, which is the analog of an RJ45 patch cord, or you're going to have to use a transceiver with the optical cable. Uh, Problem with the direct touch cable is that the maximum length there available is 15 meters. So if you want to have more than 15 meters, you will have to use a transceiver plus an optical cable. All right. The next consideration when you're designing a solution is the storage media type itself. Since all the NAS vendors, for example, QNAP, they are diskless units. So they don't come with the disk at all. You're going to have to decide which hard drive or SSD you're going to use. So the performance of the hard drive, the class of the hard drive is also one of the areas of consideration. The most popular drives are the 3.5-inch SATA drives, which one you see here as the Ironwolf. They fit in the 3.5-inch base, and they are the most popular ones because they offer you the most cost-effective solution for and the best capacities. Then you have got the SAS drives. SAS is the only interface that gives you a dual port. So in case you are looking for redundancy and dual pathing between your NAS and the drive, SAS is the only way to go. If you decide to use a SAS drive in your NAS, you are going to have to make sure that your NAS device has SAS interface. And then, of course, you have the SSDs, which are available either as 2.5-inch SATA, which is the most popular ones, or you have the M.2 interface. The M.2 interface is currently only used for caching because the capacities are limited in M.2. So they are typically used for caching. Most of the storage takes place on 3.5-inch SATA or 2.5-inch SATA or 2.5-inch SAS. Oh, okay. We have a few questions. I'll look at the questions and try to answer. 3.5-inch SATA and SAS work at 7,200 RPM, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, SAS generally are available either at 7,200 RPM. So the 3.5-inch SAS drives are available at 7,200 RPM. 2.5-inch SAS drives are available at 7,200 RPM, 10,000 RPM, and 15,000 RPM. Whereas the SATA drives are not available at more than 7,200 RPMs because in the NAS environment, you have to really control the vibrations. In fact, most of the NAS grade drives only run at 5,400 or 5,900 RPM. The picture that here I'm showing of 3.5-inch SATA with Ironwolf, this one runs at 5,900 RPM, not 7,200 RPM, because they did some research and they found out that at 5,900 RPM also it gives you good performance, it runs cooler, and it doesn't vibrate. So most of the 3.5-inch SATA drive that you see purpose built for NAS will be 5,900 RPM maximum. Okay, Mr. Ali has asked SFP Plus versus RJ45, which one can get higher speed at 1G? Sir, both have got the same kind of performance in theory if you use good quality cable. So if you use an RJ45 not at a very long length, it will perform as well as an SFP Plus does. But advantage with SFP Plus is that you can go to greater lengths compared to RJ45, because in RJ45 you will have to use a Cat6 cable or a better quality, and that too only at short distances. Mr. Srinivasan has asked if nearline SAS 7,200 RPM, SAS is only available 10K RPM. No, Mr. Srinivasan, nearline SAS is available on 7,200 RPM as well. The 10,000 RPMs are available in 2.5-inch drives. All right. So this sums up this slide on the storage media itself. Okay, let me try to sum up all the hardware considerations that you will be taking into consideration when we are designing a NAS solution. The very first one is, of course, the network speed consideration, which decides how fast the data can flow from your network to your NAS device. 1G works for very small organizations, but if you want any higher speed, you're going to have to go to 10G. In case you have a media customer who wants to have a direct access to the device and they want even higher than 10G, then there are some NAS devices which offer you even Thunderbolt 3 connections, which runs on 40G. That's very popular with the media agencies. The second consideration is, of course, the total capacity that is required in your network data storage. That we have already learned how to calculate. You will be looking at the number of bays that you have and the size of the hard drive. And then you need to see if you need to scale it up. Hardware is a consideration that you'll have to look at depending on the number of applications that are going to run, the kind of virtual machines that you're going to run, and the number of containers that you're going to run. Storage media, we have already discussed on this. In case you have a very high IO requirement, then it's only SSD that will work. QNAP offers you something called as an auto tiering, whereby you can put in a few SSDs and a few hard drives in the chassis, and the QNAP firmware will automatically keep on swapping your hot and cold data between the slower media and the faster media. So you can make use of that, or you can make use of the caching in QNAP. And for the redundancy, you could look at the dual power supplies. You could look at the dual network port in failover mode. You could look at the SAS hard drive that have got the dual ports. In case one port fails, the data still flows through the second port. And of course, we have the dual controllers, which is the redundancy of the entire motherboard and the CPU. So in case one part fails, the second part takes over and your data still continues to be available to you. QNAP's website lets you choose a few vital, lets you choose a NAS on a few vital parameters like the operating system, number of bays and processors and everything. In case you need help in choosing a NAS or designing a solution for you, you can always come back to us as well, and we'll definitely help you. Now I'll be taking you through some of the enterprise data protection features that you should be considering in your storage solution, which are basically the hardware, not the hardware feature, but the software features. The very first one is the RAID solution. In the RAID solution, almost every NAS today offers you RAID. What happens with RAID is you are able to put a couple of hard drives in the chassis and join them up as a large disk and also offer redundancy. For example, in RAID 6, I can have 5 hard drives and keep 2 hard drives for redundancy. So in case, even if 2 hard drives fail, I still have the access to my data. This is something that's very, very basic, and I think everybody knows about it, but I thought I will still cover this up. The second thing which is very important when you're designing a solution is to make sure that the NAS that you're buying supports something called as a snapshot. What snapshot offers you is they offer you a point-in-time picture of your data. Let's say you have a file that you backed up today, and tomorrow when you back up the same file, it got affected by a malware. If you don't have a copy or if you don't have a mean of rolling back to your file's version as it was yesterday, it will be, it's as good as your data lost. So what snapshot does is it gives you an option to roll your data back to a previous date. Now you would ask, next thing is, this will take a lot of space, right? Because if I have a file which is 10 GB today's version, and then I have a 10 GB tomorrow's version, then the total space required would be 20 GB. But snapshot is extremely space efficient. How it works is it works on pointers. So I've illustrated here, if you have a 10 G file today, and a part of that 10 G file changes, and tomorrow you have the same 10 G file with only 4 GB changed data, then the storage space that's taken up is actually only 16 GB. The 4G of the common data is only stored once and stored as pointers on the second one. This is extremely, extremely important. Okay, I have a few questions. Mr. Mustafa Hossain said, what about RAID 5 plus and RAID 6 plus? QNAP supports all that. For CCTV solution, we don't recommend use SSD. We use only SAS, of course, yes. For CCTV solution, SSD is extremely expensive. So, of course, you should only use either SAS drive or SATA drive. A snapshot will allow to file level restore. Yes, Mr. Ismail, with snapshots, you are able to drill down to the file level, and you can either restore the entire directory or you can restore it file-wise as well. So it allows you for a very fine granular recovery as well, and you are also able to restore the data to a different location. You also have the option of storing your snapshots on another NAS. How RAID works? How can disk tolerate disk failure? Okay, Mr. Pawan, how RAID works and how can disk tolerate disk failure? I'll try to be very brief because my time is almost already up. But how this works is you can think of it as an algorithm. If on 3 hard drives you have the data, and on the 4 hard drive you put a checksum, which is called a parity. And in case any hard drive fails with the checksum, you are able to find out what should have been on that hard drive. This is like saying I had 1 and 1 and 1, and on the 4 hard drive I had the sum of 1 and 1 and 1, which is 3. So if any hard drive fails, I would be able to know that I have 1 and 1, 2, and what should have been here to make the sum as 3. So the answer is 1. That's how they work. Okay, is the ransomware snapshot different from RAID configuration? Yes, Mr. Andrew, RAID configuration only will help you in case your hard drive fails. But ransomware snapshot, what it does is it gives you an option to roll your file back to a previous day. For example, even if you today rewrite your file for some reason and you want to see how the file's version was yesterday, a snapshot can help you with that. So RAID helps with the hard drive failure. A snapshot helps with the changes in file. So you'll be able to see how your file has changed and roll it back to a previous version. And also QNAP offers you the data replication to public cloud and NAS, which means you will be able to replicate from one QNAP to another QNAP, which is an extremely important point. You can have two QNAPs, and one on the primary side and one on the secondary side, and you can decide to either replicate all the data or you can replicate the data based on the folders to the second site. You can also keep a copy on the cloud, which means you can have, for example, an Azure backup subscription, and you can upload your files to Azure or Backblaze or Dropbox, for example, with QNAP. It's all built right into the QTS firmware. Last consideration is for the storage for virtualization. For virtualization, you just need to keep a few things in mind. You don't have to be an expert in virtualization. You need to see whether your NAS supports iSer. What happens with iSer is we all know that iSCSI is the protocol that we use for virtualization. All right, iSer is faster than iSCSI. If your network card supports iSer, then it cuts across a lot of network layers and writes directly from memory to memory. A lot of QNAP models support iSer. You need to see whether Y and ODX offloading is offered. And finally, if you look at the certification, if there's a unit which is Citrix ready or VMware ready or Windows Server 2016 certified, then they definitely have all these features that you need for virtualization. So that concludes my session. I have taken the questions as well. Let me see. Can a tape library connect with NAS? Ms. Madhu Shalini has asked, can the tape library connect with NAS? Yes, it can connect with a NAS, but it's a difficult thing to work around. The easiest thing to do is don't use a tape library with a NAS, but you can use something called as an RDX donk, which connects via USB to a NAS. I'll be sending you the details by email later on because it's difficult to explain on the webinar. I don't have the slide for that as well. Yes, Mr. Mustafa, QNAP has Thunderbolt 3, not Thunderbolt 4. Thunderbolt 4 is out yet? Okay, now we'll be taking the quiz. I'll be opening the chat area. The chat area is open. You can all see the chat area. I'll ask you a question, and whoever is able to type first in the chat area will win. So on the mark, I will now ask the question. The question is, in an array of 12 hard drives of 10 TB each, what would be the usual capacity that you will get with RAID 6. You have an array of 12 hard drives. And all right, Mr. Hamad, yes, you got it right, sir. So Mr. Hamad it is. I will be contacting you, Mr. Hamad, after the webinar. I have your email address and I'll be sending you one Ironwolf 8 terabyte hard drive, sir. So now I will pass on the slide to Mr. Alex, who will take you through the QNAP solutions. Alex.
Okay. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
Hello? Can you, Akash, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen, Alex. You have the control.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. This is Alex. So let me quickly introduce myself. I believe some of us, our members and then our partners, maybe you haven't met me because we're only talking in the email. So I'm Alex, the regional sales manager in charge of the Middle East, Africa, and India market. Very happy to meet you guys during this quarantines and then all the issue happening in 2020. And finally, now we are very happy to hold the first event with Akash, our data care disability in Middle East. So very happy to meet you guys. And here's my email. So if any questions, you guys can mail me, or during the presentation, you can ask, and I will answer after my presentation. So today, I'm gonna take really quickly 3 minutes to just recap QNAP company profile, and then we're gonna go to what is new. So only 2 topics, very simple. Okay, let's take a start with the first one, quickly update of QNAP company profile. Okay, so from this slide, you can see that QNAP was founded in 2004, which is a 16 years old company. And we are a purely Taiwanese-based company. So basically, our employees, our R&D centers, our management, even our hardware, software team, they are all in Taiwan. But I guess that would be a really good benefit and advantage for all partners, because that was that China and US issues. So everything made in Taiwan, that would be the first security concern, a lot IT managers and then the storage partners. And secondly, from basically, you can see from the QNAP website, we are actually very, very unique and very focusing on hardware design. So of course, if you compare with other brands, QNAP are always offering the latest solutions. For example, we have Intel Generation 9 CPU, and we have ND, the latest, the APEC, the CPU too, the server level CPUs. So a lot of new technology always can see from the QNAP. Meaning, if you pay $1,000, you are ready to getting a sport car or much. I guess that was very obvious question. So if you're looking for a good solution on the hardware and you don't want to waste your single penny on the hardware cost, I believe QNAP will be a good solution. And third one, so far we have 1,000 employees. So actually 60% they are product manager, software team, and hardware team. So basically, they are all house designed in QNAP. So you are all getting everything from QNAP. There will be guarantees. Finally, we have a global presence. So let's just take a look. So far, what's a QNAP business so far in the worldwide? So firstly, you can see that from the United States and American side, we do have an office from like Canada to LA. So basically, there will be a good support and individual team there. And secondly, we have a German, Netherlands, UK, and Italy team that are delegates in the Euro markets. And go back to the Asia, of course, we have Taiwan from headquarters to China, Japan, and Thailand and India. So there will be the main quote in APEC. So if you see that, there's a small red spot, which is QNAP free zone in Jabali. Basically, last year, our manager already signed a contract, and then we already get all the paperwork done. Basically, I was supposed to be there to service you guys, but unfortunately, the China virus, that's why I hope to see you guys very soon. But no worry, our team is ready there, okay? So let me know if we can support you in the mail or very soon in the future next year in Dubai. Okay, so let's take a look, quickly take a look at QNAP product. I believe you already know we have a home and solar product. which is for entry level, basically like home users, YouTubers, a lot of small media company or media company, 5 to 10 people, probably the home tower users will be satisfied with our QNAP product, which is around $200 to like $400. So this is our entry level. Basically, you can see that product in eShop. For example, we have partners from DataCare, we have the Amazons, we have the Zoom, or we have a lot of different partners they're selling online, basically. And the main 70% of main business is actually happening SMB, which is a small and medium business, of course. So we have a tower model and a rack model. And the two different segments, of course, we can fulfill up to like 4 bay to up to 16 to 24 bay. So if you put the 16 terabyte to 18 terabyte for each of hard disks, basically we can offer more than 300 terabyte on one single NAS. And finally, we have an enterprise level, which we support a lot, for example, dual controller, and then we have dual power supply, or even we have a Xeon CPU. So which is very important. A lot of people are choosing QNAP because the Xeon series, which is a server level of the CPU. And of course, you can see that now QNAP even focusing on AMD. I believe that will be a good advantage, which we can leverage the loadings, or we have leveraged for example, the risk. As you know, like Intel actually come out a lot good solution, but on the other hand, every generation they only generate a little bit, increase a little bit performance. But compared to AMD, actually they have very good performance on the CPU. For example, 7 nano, the technology, and also they have a lot of graphic card, the performance on the AMD. Okay, finally, let's see what is new this year. Actually, it's almost Q4, but still want to let you know what is new is going on. So the first one I'm gonna introduce is the U.2. I believe you hear the M.2 from Seagate and Akash that mentioned that. So what's the new from the QNAP technology? We have the new 24 bay NAS, which is support U.2 technology, okay? And the second one, we are ready for 35 cloud services. So in the periods, a lot of people that are using QNAP just back to one to another, iSCotch, sandbar from one server to NAS, or go LAN. But more importantly, a lot of projects now they are start requiring, hey, Alex, I need to back up from AWS. I need to back up from Alibaba Cloud. What we have a solution, how much we have to pay. So this is free solution, free, and you get ready for this 35 cloud service. Finally, a 2.5 importance. So there's a market and potential already happening in the traditional market. For example, laptop users, PC users. Let's take a look what is going on here. So let's take a look at the first one, QNAP, the TS Edge 2490FU. So basically, as you can see, obviously this is a 24 bay NAS. So if you see QNAP model name, if you see the first two digital numbers, meaning how many hard disk or SSD support. So 24 bay meaning a 24 bay NAS. And then this NAS, now we upgrade, we can support U.2. So as we just talked to Seagate, they already have a U.2 NVMe, the SSD, all flash ready. So after this, if you guys are interested, we can also show you more U.2 information. So let's see what is inside. The firstly, of course, we are using the latest technology from AMD, the EPYC 7002, the second generation AMD. As we all know, QNAP already running QNAP, the Intel Enterprise Xeon CPU. But still, we are looking for a better technology. So AMD actually come out a better performance, a 7 nano manufacturing semiconductor technology, which they can support up to 64 cores. And then there's a lot of different technology insights. But here today, we are only using 8 core to 16 core, which is very enough for a lot, for example, the ICER, or we have the lot, for example, QNAP, QTS functions. And let's take a look at what is new here. Secondly, a QNAP can actually support, if you're using a U.2 SSD, they can support up to 472K IOPS, which is very aggressive, the performance in this market, especially with a QNAP competitive, the very cost-effective price. I believe there will be a really good performance on a lot of data backup, transmission, and etc. Secondly, we're using ZFS system. So this is a better data security and data performance. So I believe you all know the ZFS. I'm not going to cover here. And then finally, we can do a lot of unified the storage backup. So for example, iSCSI to fiber channel, and then we have a SANBAR, or we have a FTP, or like for example to the cloud, AWS. So basically, all-in-one application server is ready for these solutions. Okay, finally, let's see what skill we have and a little bit the data sheet. So you can see that both of them, they are using a QNAP, the latest QTS Hero. So basically, this is a ZFS system, and you can run in QNAP apps inside of the solutions. And secondly, you can enjoy the AMD, the Apex, the very good performance 16 cores CPU, and then also upgrade the memory up to 128. Also, they support 25 giga of the SFP port. That would be the very good performance on the LAN port. And secondly, we have another one we're using 7232P, the AMD Apex, the CPU too, which is 8 cores, but not bad. They still support 62 DDR DRAM and also have 25 giga LAN port. So this is the latest the QNAP high-end enterprise model for a lot of ISR or a lot of ZFS system users. A lot of people are using, for example, VM backup, a lot third-party backup, which QNAP is ready. So just very happy to show you the first news. Secondly, let's see what is new. So we are gonna take a look at the 2.5G. As I mentioned, 2.5G is very important. So not from QNAP internal survey. We are actually doing a lot of survey. For example, this is one of the news from Intel. This is news called one of the I think it's from the United States, a very famous high-tech news. They actually study a lot of survey of the internet and that hardware. So what I say, the conclusion is they are saying that Intel is ready highlight how important is 2.5 giga. And secondly, their chips, and not even their chips, the Aquantia or the Marvel or Realtek, they already entered 2.5 giga, even 1 year or 2 years before Intel. So this is the business trend, because a lot of people are already ready for 10 giga. But remember, 10 giga, firstly, we have encountered, for example, the Cat6 cable issue. And a lot of laptop, a lot of PC, they are not ready. But 2.5, actually there's a really good performance, and you can using the same cable. So basically, you don't need to change your Cat5 cable. You can actually enjoy the 2.5 giga speed and using the same cable. So there's no additional cost. You can still increase 2.5 times of your data transmission. And secondly, as we know, the file is getting bigger. So let's see how big is the file compared in the past. I believe 5 years ago, if people are looking for YouTube video, they are talking about the full HD. So full HD, which is, if you take look, 30 seconds of sample videos, which is actually take 52 mega. So almost like 50 mega bytes of the data size. But right now, if you take look, all the latest from Samsung or LG, every streaming quality, or even a file, they go 2 times, even up to 8 times. So if you see the data size actually increasing even 6 times in this data, then you can imagine that there will be a big traffic or bottleneck on the transmission. So send us the sample video. If you see the 3 times of the sample videos, actually the data is almost, 8K data is almost 1 giga. So there will be another issue why people require 2.5 of the data sheet. So right now, let's take how QNAP solution we have. So right now, QNAP, all the hardware we just quickly mentioned, we have the Solo SMB, and then the Tower enterprise model. Every model, basically, we are already upgraded to 2.5 mega, meaning you are no longer to see any 1 giga LAN port in the market in QNAP products. And QNAP, the product, you don't need to buy an additional card. If you need, of course, you can, but actually we already built in start with 2.5. So you can start to speccing this product, and then the specification. I believe a lot of product, if you see 2.5 LAN port of the storage, definitely will come from QNAP. Yeah, that would be a good strategy of working a lot rack mount model. Sorry, tower model and rack mount model. So Santa's rack mount model, we do have a lot 2.5 models from the entry level, like 4 bay to 12 bay of the NAS. They are all built in 2.5 giga, which is ready. Even we have a fiber, 10 giga fiber. And then on the left, those models that are enterprise level or high-end level of the NAS, they do come out with the 10 giga or SFP fiber label, the fiber of the transmission, so which will be good enough for the data transmission. Then you can reduce a lot data bottleneck or even less latency. Finally, we also would like to share you one of the studies from one internet company. I don't remember the name, but basically they're saying that they study a lot of PCO server while they are transferring those video data or file data. They actually encounter another issue, which is even they have a good performance on the CPU or even they have a bandwidth, but if they have less performance or less bandwidth on the other side, which they will actually reduce the transmission speed. So meaning if you have a good CPU but you don't have a good bottleneck, probably your CPU latency, your CPU performance actually will be the CPU performance actually will be in fact by maybe up to 20 to 50% if you are transfer a very big data, for example, like VM data, the videos, or even CCTV data. On the other hand, if you have a very good throughput of the 10 gigas, but you don't have the switches and you don't have the good CPUs, same as here, you're gonna have the same problem. So here, QNAP also come out 2.5 LAN port up to 10 giga LAN port of the switches. So meaning QNAP now is offering from 1 giga to 10 giga all total solutions. So people can easily getting the switches and with really good cost-effective price to have a total solution to over 2.5 giga network for your customers. Okay, finally, let's take a look of QNAP, the backup solution from the cloud. So before I begin with the cloud service, I would like to quickly go to QNAP application, hybrid backup sync. Basically, this is the backup software. It's free and already installed on every single NAS. So all you need to do is download this app and you can quickly back up your data, for example, from Dubai to maybe from India, New Delhi, and then we can back up from remote backup. So you have 1 terabyte, you can easily back up from there. And also you can activate the function called deduplication. So the deduplication, basically you can see that if you have a lot of data, so there are 4 colors, after deduplication, they only keep the same data. So you can actually reduce at least 20, 80 to 90%. It depends your data, the size and then the inside of the format. So let's say they are all similar. One that will actually deduce into 4 different color, the bus. So actually reduce up to 90%. So they will do the dedupe function and then set into the QNAP NAS to the file servers. And on the other hand, you can also back up to the other servers. So you can have 1 copy in the local, 2nd copy in the remote side, and 3rd copy you can go to your cloud or you can go to your different applications. So once you have any ransom issues, you have hardware damage issue, you can quickly recover back to your 2nd NAS or your main NAS. So there will be a total 3-in-1 backup solutions. Okay, so now we know we have the HBS, the hybrid backup sync. How does this benefit to QNAP cloud services? So basically, from the HBS, we also support the native function, which we can easily back up, not only to the remote side, we can support to the cloud side. Meaning that the customers now, they are using the 2nd or 3rd backup, or even a lot of new companies, they are not using any proprietary NAS. They are prepared, ready for the cloud services. And those cloud services, actually, they have been charging by different business account, and they're charging by, for example, the data you download, for example, and you transfer from one server to another, for example, UK to Hong Kong, they're charging by different mega per seconds, which is very costly. But QNAP can help you to actually backup one copy to QNAP NAS, second copy to your remote site, for example, Dubai to Abu Dhabi, and the third copy you can go to the cloud. So up to 35 of the cloud service is ready and is free, which you can actually spec a lot project. Of course, a lot of customer not requiring a solution backup to the cloud. So since we are ready for these solutions, I believe this is a very good benefit impact to the market, especially in the Middle East. Actually we receive a lot of inquiry. People now are asking the cloud storage backup, but they have the concern to know that if we have the Alibaba cloud, can we migrate the data with Amazon? Can we migrate data with the SWC3, or we have the Google Cloud, etc. So QNAP is ready to do those migration, data migration, or transmission. Okay, so I guess that will be end of my 3 QNAP technologies. Let me quickly go through again. The first one will be QNAP U.2 NAS is ready in the market. So you can contact to Seagate. Let's see what your project and also ISO or any enterprise needs you can require from QNAP. Secondly, we have 2.5 giga ready, which from the entry tower model level, home solo solutions to SMB, people are requiring to a big bandwidth, and then also with a big, they can solve their bottleneck issue. The third one is the backup ready for 35 cloud services, which will be benefit a lot of customers saving their costs. So they don't have to download, and then they can save a lot of time, and also they have a dedupe function to save the data costs. Okay, so I guess that's cover my parts. So I think we will move to Seagate, Rajesh.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Akash. I will just. Okay, I think there's a question answered right now, correct?
Yeah. Sorry, I cannot see that. So okay. Let me take a 100 terabyte.
Chat area. So whoever types the first will win that.
Okay. So can anyone name 5 of the cloud server QNAP support? Just 5 cloud server QNAP support.
5 of the public cloud servers that QNAP supports.
Yeah. Yes, we can do backup. We can do syncing backup. 5. So who answer the first 5, they will be the first one to receive the QNAP gift. Wow, good job, everyone. I guess it's very easy, right? So you.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to have. I have a difficult job to find out who answered first, because it's just scrolling through the screen now. I know. So fast. Everybody's answering. Yes. Thank you for the response, guys. Thank you.
So maybe you can check who answered the 5 questions in a one time. I believe they will be the first one to answer. And then it's
yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to see, because I can't scroll up. The moment I scroll up, again somebody types and I go down. I think Mr. Hamad Shami is the first one to answer. Amazon, Azure, Alibaba, Google Drive, and Hubi. Mr. Hamad Shami, it is, yes. Start your presentation.
Okay.
Mr. Hamad Shami, I will get in touch with you on the email and send you your hard drive. We will have one more quiz at the end of the presentation once Rajesh is done, and he will present you a question. The winner will get one QNAP TS231K. So all yours, Rajesh.
Yeah, the screen is seen, right? Akash, you can see the screen, correct?
Yes, the screen is visible, Rajesh. Yes, indeed.
Okay, great. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Alex, and also my valuable customers. I will be taking you through quickly because we're almost close to time about the Seagate NAS storage solutions. So It's very important for us to understand that while Akash clearly mentioned the way the NAS industry is trending and what kind of configurations are required for the best of NAS solutions, and Alex covered his terrific range of QNAP products covering cloud and other requirement for the NAS customers. It's also important from the Seagate perspective is to evaluate who our customers are. And it is a known fact that when NAS first came into invention, it was primarily required because of sharing of pictures, videos among family members who are not in the same roof, but they are spread across the world. Then from there, it moved into a little more professional side, wherein videographers, consultants who wanted to take videos of various projects, which they had to submit as an assignment for further business projects were required. So then we had the videographers who required high capacity video files to be sent across the internet, which was not possible through emails. Then we have the SMB users, which customers like you are going to use. Then the small office, which due to COVID has become extremely important. And last but not the least, it's the use of the cloud. Something like AWS, which you mentioned, and Azure, and other big organizations, which are now more and more drifting into cloud, and it's a big profitable business there. So these are our customers, which we need to segment. Now, why is it that the NAS is, why is that the hard disk drives needs to be optimized for NAS solutions? It's very simple, because if you look into the users that I mentioned on the left side of the screen, and you look into the various elements that are required for the best of NAS solution, you can see that each parameter or each element is very critical for the hard drive to function at its best. Because from the software and the hardware point of view, QNAP has provided you the basic platform, but as long as you are not able to store the data, I think the whole ecosystem will be incomplete. So whenever you are wanting to use a hard drive, these are the following elements that you need to see: is how long is the NAS device going to be working? Is it a 24/7 operation, or is it just about 8-9 hours in a day? Then it's very important about the capacity. So if you're a home user, probably capacity is not a big thing that you require. But if you are an SMB user or a cloud user, capacity becomes extremely important. Then the third part is NAS optimized performance, which is nothing but what we call as RAID, wherein the protection of data is extremely important. And how is the hard drives capable of surviving that pressure of data which is required in a NAS environment? Error recovery is one of the most critical parts, because particularly in a cloud environment or an SMB environment, or even in case of a videographer, when he's uploading petabytes of data, sometimes if while recording the data is not recorded properly into the hard disk drives, there could be a big issue. So how are the hard disk drive prepared for that? Then vibration tolerance, I think this is what Akash and had covered, is about the rotation per minute. So if the hard disk drive is rotating at a higher speed, it could lead to vibration. And how are the hard disk drives algorithm is in place to take care of this vibration? And then the power management, of course, when you're having a multi-bay like what Alex had talked about, 12-bay, 24-bay, obviously they will require a lot of power. And that is something which is very important for small and medium businesses. Cool operation, absolutely, very important. Is the hard drive able to function in a very high heat environment? Sometimes the temperatures goes up to 70 degrees centigrade. Are the hard disk drive capable of that? And last but not the least, it's the speed, because when you're dealing with petabytes of data, it's extremely important how speed, what is called as the input-output operations per second, which Alex covered, is how is the hard disk drives able to cover these particular elements. I am super glad to share with you is that it's not for the QNAP devices, the best fit that we can offer is the Ironwolf drives. So in the Ironwolf, we have got the standard Ironwolf drives, which come up to about 10 terabyte of capacity. And then we have for heavy duty products, particularly for the cloud And for the videographers, we have the Ironwolf Pro. And of course, for as Akash had mentioned, that there are certain times the SSDs are purely used for cache because of the limited capacity. The cache is extremely important for the transfer of data. So we got it covered it all. And our drives are the best that you can find in the market today. Moving on is that when I'm claiming is that why is Seagate Ironwolf drives the best fit for QNAP NAS is purely because we are a 40-year-old company, 4 decades of technological advancements that we have done right all the way from 1979 all the way till the present. And the technologies that we are proud to share before you, my customers, is the first is that we have a very wide tested hard drive compatibility confirmation or approval from top manufacturers like QNAP. And as you can see, any new model that QNAP comes out with, they are working at the back office, at the research and development lab, how to make the Seagate Ironwolf drives compatible with their devices. Because it's like both QNAP and the storage have to go hand in hand. So if the particular HD hard disk drive is not compatible, it serves no purpose. The second and the most important is the monitoring the health of the drive. As I mentioned in my previous slide, the error recovery is one of the most important, particularly when a drive and a NAS drive is doing its work on full duty. And if there is some kind of error while recording, it's very difficult for the IT manager to identify where the error has happened. So Seagate is the only company which has got the Ironwolf health management algorithm software that is built into the hard disk drive. And it has close to about maybe 100 to 200 parameters that it will evaluate and identify where the error has happened in the recording of the data. And through an automated software mechanism, there will be either an email or an SMS that will go to the IT manager, and the IT manager will be absolutely able to isolate the problem and take action even before the entire NAS system collapses. So it's like an artificial intelligence built into a hard disk drive. This is one of the fabulous technologies of Seagate. Of course, competition does have this, but the parameters that the competition covers is hardly about 10 to 15 or 20. But Seagate covers close to 100 parameters. So they have literally evaluated the requirement of data recording to the extreme level. Another technology that we talked about is the extended durability. Now, what I mean here is particularly related to vibration. Now, as you know, that more and more efficient hard disk drives work at capacities of almost 5,900 RPM to 7,200 RPM. But if they are all rotating at 7,200 RPM in a 12-bay or a 24-bay NAS device, just imagine how much vibration will be. So the Seagate Ironwolf drives have a built-in RV sensors, again a software built in, which tries to stabilize the drive and take care of it. And last but not the least is the data recovery. Now, sometimes what happens, maybe there is a damage to the hard disk drive, maybe there is a fire, an unfortunate case of a fire, and your data is all lost. But you have nothing to worry, is because at Seagate, we have got a 100% in-house laboratory, which has a record of close to 90% of recovering all your lost data, and we will do everything possible in order to recover the data and send it back across to you. As a matter of fact, if for some reason the data cannot be recovered, we return you back the drive as it is in the original case. And last but not the least, you know, this is a recent situation which happened almost about a quarter or 2 quarters ago, when there was an issue of SMR technology, which was extremely dangerous for customers like you, particularly at the time of recording. But I'm glad to say is that the Seagate hard drives do not encourage the SMR in their drives. So all our Ironwolf drives and the Ironwolf Pro drives up to 10 terabyte in case of standard Ironwolf, and up to 8 terabytes in Ironwolf Pro have got the CMR technology, which extremely helps to protect your data to the extreme level. Now, what are the range that we have? As I explained to you, we have the standard Ironwolf range, which comes optimized up to 8-bay environment. So obviously, if you are having anything that is beyond 8-bay, you will have to go to Ironwolf Pro. Now, the difference between both of them is the warranty, and also both the drives have got the 3-year rescue data built into them. So you don't have to purchase it. And both of them have got Ironwolf Health Management, which is also built into them. And last but not the least, they are both pursuing or have the CMR recording technologies, which is the best as far as the NAS environment is concerned. Coming down to the SSDs, we have the Ironwolf 100 series. It comes in a SATA format, and we have a 3 years and a 5 years warranty as well here. And it also covers the Ironwolf Health Management. As you know, this is ideal for caching, and we have a reputation of really having the best SSDs in the NAS environment. And last but not the least, we have the M.2, which is the best in class in terms of speed. Also has the 3-year rescue data built into it and a 5-year warranty. So this is the NAS portfolio that we have with much higher capacities. And I'm super glad to also inform you that Seagate Ironwolf have introduced the 18 terabyte, the highest NAS drive that you can use for the lowest cost per gigabyte. Lowest cost per terabyte. Leaving aside the Ironwolf, if you know, one of the critical users are the cloud users, and we have an entire range of exhaust drives, nearline drives, as you might call it, which covers not only the enterprise class NAS servers, but also the SMB class NAS servers from 8-bay and above, and also 6-bay up to 6 bays. And as you can see, we have got the X18 series, the X16 series, and the X10 series of the exhaust drives, which have one of the best capacity and the best performance, durability, security, everything built in together. And with this, probably I would want to thank you all very much. Thank you for promoting Seagate all this while. And I'm happy to offer you the 18 terabyte, as you can see over here. This will be the best solution that you can give to your big time customers, and they can also save a lot of their money in terms of reducing buying more of drives, but cover it all in one and 18 terabyte drive. And with this, I end my presentation, Akash. I think you can step in and ask the question.
Thank you, Rajesh. The last question that we have now is tell us about the five of the features of or 4 of the features of Seagate hard drives that make them ideal for NAS. Oh, okay. Mr. Laishish, yes, that was very fast. Health management, RV sensors, rescue recovery, CMR, rescue, and fiber warranty. Yes, that is all correct.
Fantastic. Perfect news. Thank you.
This is perfect, sir. I will contact you. I have your email address, and I will send across one TS231K to you. Just one last thing, Mr. Hamid has asked one question. Provide us the list of CMR and SMR drives. This is something very important that I want to tell you. All the Ironwolf drives are CMR. We do not use SMR. Is that correct, Rajesh?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. So whenever you're buying a Seagate Ironwolf drive, you don't have to worry whether this is an SMR drive that's been shipped to you, as something else. It's always a CMR drive. So thanks a lot for joining us, and you will get an email with the link to download this. Thank you for joining us. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.